level that you're never gonna get. Always push it up until the red. Never expect your respect. I train 52 weeks times 10.
Being the only issue written after 9/11, Book 3 severely shifts the tone of The Dark Knight Strikes Again. Devastated by the Brainiac ship from last issue, Metropolis is in ruins. Clearly inspired by the devastation after the Twin Towers, the art is a lot more striking in these sections due to its realistic tone. Buildings are in ruins, citizens are battered, and there's a smog of dust that overlaps everything, blocking out all light. Heroes search for their families amongst the rubble, and while it's never initially supposed to be in this book, it actually feels like one of its strongest moments. Unfortunately, the depth of this lasts about as long as the cheeky girl's career, and we're quickly back into the nonsensical, doing your head in news sections that completely ruined the issue last time. Carrying over from the prior issue are the Super Chicks, a quasi-online / superhero inspired rock group. Poorly drawn and over-sexualized, they feel like the worst element of every page they appear on. They will make you wish that the cheeky girl's career had lasted longer. That joke come full circle because I'm brilliant. Demonstrating how out of touch Frank Miller is with youth culture, these seem to represent the internet generation. Millennials who go to abstract creations to tell them what to think and feel. Honestly, it's absolutely terrible. When a revolt is started at one of their concerts in order for Batman to gain troops.
It's a bad version of the mutant uprising from The Dark Knight Returns.
In the original though, that motif was really well done, but here it feels more annoying than that fat girl who cries at every house party you go to. At first when you seen her crying, you were like, there, I know the guy you love's kissing someone else, but you know, you're a nice person, you'll come round to it. But now, when you see her crying, it's just like, oh, sod this. McDonald's is open 24/7, so I don't know what she's crying about. That metaphor doesn't really work, but it shows that when things keep happening over and over and slowly getting worse and worse, they're just not as appealing and you lose interest in them. Hashtag stop Coney 2012, but I digress. Tracking down Superman due to a homing device that the Atom placed in his ear, Batman confronts the Blue Boy Scout. After revealing that he is a pawn for the government due to Kandor being in Lex's possession, the Dark Knight decides to help him. It would be a triumphant moment, but Batman decides to go around telling everyone that if they want his help, then they work for him. He shouts, "You work for me," going on a crazy power trip like that one guy at work who gets paid 10 pence more an hour than you do, so he's technically supervisor, and he just looks down on you and tells you to clean the toilet because he thinks you're no good. Full-time yummy mummy, dole scum. Laura rebels against this, but Clark informs her that Bruce can speak to her any way he likes because he's in charge. It's a face-palming moment. I love Batman, but when he's made out to be an egomaniac, Justin Bieber type of guy, I completely hate the lad. This is worse than when Bieber said that Anne Frank would have been one of his fans.
Yes, I'm sure, Justin, that you would have loved playing your music in the attic. It would have been great.
Anyway, the heroes launch their attack on Luthor and Brainiac. At some point, Batman is being captured and he is tortured repeatedly at the mercy of Lex. Of course, this is a trap. Batman meant to get caught because blah blah blah, blah blah blah. You've heard it a million times. Wanting to distract Luthor so that Green Lantern could foil his plans, it seems slightly counterintuitive. Batman, whilst cunning, isn't stupid, and he would never allow himself to be beaten so badly just to see the look on someone's face when he got the drop on him. He's insane, not a maniac. Whilst analytically, the ending doesn't really work that well. In its moments, you know, it's alright. The presentation's not amazing, but it's actually an alright send-off to the main plot. And the book should end at this point, but crazy Frank Miller has other plans on how he's gonna ruin all his hard work. Operating in the background, Dick Grayson has slowly stalked Carrie Kelly. Taking on the appearance of the Joker, he makes his final move. In the Batcave, he attacks the Girl Wonder and has her at death's door until the Cape Crusader turns up. Whilst in the right hands, this left field twist could have ended the book on a devastating final showdown. Miller's goofy portrayal of the regenerating, completely mental, invincible Dick Grayson just ruins it. He gets beheaded, he catches his head, he sticks it back on his body, he loses limbs and they just grow back, and it's just really goofy. What do you mean all comics are goofy? Miller, he never really set up for this twist at all throughout any of the previous books. We get no insight into Dick Grayson's motives, and it just seems really unwarranted for the character. Never in all of Dick Grayson's history has he been presented as this crazy, unhinged potential villain, so when it appears in here, it just feels really underdeveloped. It has no reason to be in the book. It's completely obscure and is just completely ridiculous. Bruce beats the Boy Wonder, destroys the Batcave, and the world returns to normal. It's a bland finish, and it's weird that Miller chose to end on this rather than the slightly better face-off between Batman and Lex Luthor. While it's nowhere near as bad as the awful second issue, Book 3 isn't that much better. It completely underdelivers, and the fact that Frank Miller took a year to write this one issue is completely unbelievable. I have no idea what he was doing, but it certainly wasn't writing or taking art lessons. Possessing moments of genius in the 9/11 sections, it's more crushing to see that these pages get padded out with scantily clad women spouting utter dribble. There is so much potential here as well, but Miller, he just drops the ball completely, and that's why this issue gets a 4 out of 10. Overall, The Dark Knight Strikes Again was never going to live up to its predecessor. However, one could at least expect some of the quality from that groundbreaking title to carry over. Side by side, the books feel like they were created by a completely different team, so it's unbelievable that most of the creative talent behind the first one return here. I really don't know what happened. It's poorly drawn, poorly paced, the dialogue's terrible, and it's just bad all over. Possessing more cons than pros, it's really difficult to recommend this book to anyone other than the most die-hard fans. The first issue is a really fun ride, but none of the goodwill that was set up in there carries over to the closing issues, and by the end of the book, you'll just want it to end. The best thing about this book is that it no way impacts on The Dark Knight Returns. Frank Miller didn't have any element of that book retconned, and because of it, it doesn't completely ruin your childhood in the same way that a George Lucas did. I suppose in the same way that George Lucas never showed young Han Solo in the prequels running around playing football with a little Chewbacca, Miller creates a book that has no consequence. So I suppose that's a good thing? Of course it's not. Can't blame Miller for everything. I'm sure his drug dealer played a big part too. I'm joking. For legal purposes, I must stress I'm joking. But it's a book that every Bat fan should read at least once to see how bad it is. So overall, as a collection, The Dark Knight Strikes Again gets a 4 out of 10. So what do you think of the book? I know there's a lot of people like Grant Morrison that defend it. The first time I read it, I thought it was alright, but on the second time, no, terrible. Comment below, let me know. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I've been doing this series in a build up to The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, and that's the book I'm going to be reviewing next. It's just come out, so make sure you don't miss my thoughts on it. Thanks very much for checking out my videos. Take care. Peace!